I get the same feeling, so I'm coming day and night.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
She's already contaminated by this odd substance.
Jesus wept.
I want you to get up right now, just go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm eating my delicious licorice that my mommy sent me. Thank you, mommy. Oh, there's too much licorice at once. Shit. Put too much in my mouth. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. That was not a funny enough joke for this much suffering. So today, yeah, I realized as I put it up, because I made the thumbnail first, and I realized as I was typing up the title that there's a conundrum. So I might just, I'll probably just go back and redo all the thumbnails, but yeah. Whoops-a-doodle. All right. So this is going to be a tough one. I didn't realize how much work there was here. So I actually, there we go. I went ahead and I wrote out the questions that are in the back of the book, because that's where all these are. If we go over to our chapter, you'll see that it's a rather long one. Oop. Of course, I immediately go past everything. Write for 2 minutes on each of the structure questions. And it's just kind of allowing ideas to emerge. This is something that we're going to be doing quite a bit going forward, as far as I can tell. So we're not going to worry too much about being accurate to what we wind up with. This is going to be kind of feeling things out, which is partly because I only have time for this one thing today. I almost moved the stream to Monday, and then I told myself, no, you are not succumbing to failure like that again. We are going to stream every day until we get this fuckity done. So, let's, for the sake of clarity, let's actually go through the explanations for each of these as they are written. Starting with the false belief. Well, actually, we're gonna start with a question answer, which is beginning. What is the world in which my story exists? Now, this one is fairly simple. It's the real world. I'm kidding. That's not inaccurate, I suppose. What is the world in which my story exists? Gay underground filmmaking world. I don't really have another way of putting it. That's basically what it is. So we'll just go with that. That's my instinctual answer. Number 2, dramatic question. What is the dilemma at the heart of my story? All right, so let's read this real quick. So Act 1 starts with our opening / false belief. Our hero wants something. Without a powerful want, there is no story. Until we have a sense of what our protagonist wants, we will be unclear on the through line of our story. Our protagonist also carries with him a false belief, a mistaken idea of himself and or his world. That's very important. Mistaken idea of himself and or his world. Because the purpose of transformation is to reveal a wider perspective, the story often begins with a false belief that is founded on a set of incontestable facts. But as the story progresses, the interpretation of these facts evolves. For instance, in The Road, a man believes that the world is unsafe and that he must destroy anyone who crosses his path. In fact, he is prepared to kill his own son if he perceives that the boy might suffer at the hands of another. And he is right. The world is a post-apocalyptic nightmare, and yet well, that's a spoiler for The Road. I shouldn't spoil The Road. Just in case. I feel like that's an iffy one. So, dramatic question. What is the dilemma? So the dilemma. Our hero's desire is wrapped up in a false belief about what his goal actually means, which creates a dilemma. This dilemma is often called the dramatic problem of the story because it appears that he has a problem, but in fact he has a dilemma. For example, a character may want love because he believes that it will complete him. Through the story, he may learn that his desire for love actually prevents him from ever having it because, as long as he believes that he requires love in order to feel complete, he will be unable to accept that he is already complete. By introducing the hero's apparent problem early in the story, we understand the nature of his struggle in universal terms. So, what is the dilemma at the heart of my story? Well, it's failure is the dilemma. Let's see, what did this is where I should have written down the questions for all of these, come to think of it. Let's see. Josh goes from lacking confidence in himself to having confidence. He goes from blaming those around him and falling back on failure to accepting responsibility and growing up. So our dilemma is failure and the need to accept responsibility. Oop. Inciting incident. All right, page 10. This is sometimes called... I should probably drink some water. This is sometimes called the "Why is this day unlike any other" moment. Whether it is Toto's disappearance in The Wizard of Oz or Katniss's sister being chosen as tribute in The Hunger Games, something happens that causes our protagonist to respond, thus providing a context for the dilemma. It might originally have been universal, but now we understand how it is personal to the hero. I feel like this should be the legal suit, or the potential legal suit. So potential legal action from the producer. Let's call her Marilyn. Let's say that the producer's name is Marilyn. There was an old lady at a show I'm part of a show over at the Orleans, and there was an old lady named Marilyn, and I thought that was the perfect name for an older woman. So let's go with Marilyn. So this is the moment that we are thrust into the action, and I want it to happen fairly early in the script. So yeah, let's make our inciting incident that potential legal action. So probably what will happen is Josh is brought into Marilyn's office. Perhaps even her super nice house, and is given an ultimatum. Okay. Hi, Derek. All right. Oh shit. Opening argument, Jesus Christ. Opposing argument. There we go. This is a moment somewhere in the middle or 2/3 of the way through Act 1 where an antagonist responds to our protagonist, thus presenting the other side of the apparent problem. This moment is necessary because it clarifies the hero's dilemma. Until our reader understands the nature of the dilemma, as opposed to the appearance of the problem, there will be no context for his decision at the end of Act 1. Conversely, it is only as a result of the inciting incident where our hero is galvanized to take action that the opposing argument is understood. Okay, this one's tough. So the moment somewhere, blah, 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 the antagonist responds to the protagonist, I'm sorry, that's important. The way that Alan Watt defines antagonist, this could be any character, really, who stands in the way of our hero or is part of our hero's journey to better understanding himself. So that's a tough one. What is the antagonist's response to my hero's apparent problem? Okay, so the problem is we need to finish a movie. And he could... I suppose Marilyn could give him an option of some kind for the inciting incident. I feel like we could... The problem is, I feel like for a slasher movie, this might be the right time to bring in an opening murder. Ooh, you know what? You know what it is? It's the killer's initial murder of Greg. Because Greg's disappearance throws another wrench into the plan and makes Josh improvise. That's being a little loose with how Alan Watt describes the opposing argument, but I think for the purposes of our film, it makes sense. And again, this is just our initial response to these questions. We'll go through these again. This is not going to be this is not going to be the last time that we deal with these questions. So this is a good let's feel it out, see how it feels, and then go from there. So end of Act 1, what decision does my protagonist make that he can't go back on? Where is there reluctance in this decision? What decision does my protagonist make that he can't go back on? Let's see. Might as well start shooting the fucking movie. So yeah, let's just say Jess starts filming the second half of Twink of the Damned. Let's see, is there a definition in here? Decision. At the end of Act 1, our protagonist makes a decision toward achieving his goal that he cannot go back on. A decision that he cannot go back on may involve anything from telling a secret to proclaiming his love, to a first kiss, to moving across town, to agreeing to a promotion, to entering a wizardry academy. Notice the reluctance that precedes this decision. Without reluctance, we will not have a context for the dilemma. So I feel like what we'll have to do is... he's going to have to sign something. He signs an amendment to his initial agreement with Marilyn. So I figure Marilyn probably gives him an ultimate, or I think I already wrote that down. So Marilyn gives him an ultimatum, and he can do one thing or the other, and he chooses to do the thing where he signs away his life, basically, and commits to making this movie. I don't know exactly what that agreement will entail. It doesn't really matter at this junction, but it's something that we'll have to think about. All right, so Act 2, False Hope. Oh, shit, balls, fuck, cock. Our hero achieves success toward achieving his goal. It appears that his goal is within reach. Within this moment, we do not have a context for the meaning that he makes out of his goal. He is yet unaware of the conundrum facing him, which would be the murders. If his desire is to be loved and he succeeds in getting a woman to fall for him, he has yet to confront the real problem, which may be the meaning that he has made out of her love. He has an idea of what his success should look like, but until he sheds the meaning that he is attached to it, he will be in bondage to his goal. Okay. Doop, 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 doop. Okay. So I think that one problem I'm having here is a slasher almost by definition has to do with survival and mortality, and this is not really about survival or mortality as a film. It's about success, I guess. But the killer does represent a version of our protagonist that blames others instead of himself. And so he has to get rid of that version of himself, which in our case will be defeating the killer and finishing the film. That's not bad. So where does my protagonist experience false hope as a result of making his decision? Day one goes excellently, despite Greg having disappeared. Let's go ahead and just... Boop. Sorry, this is just me being a little anal. Looks like it's just going to be the three of us in this room tonight. That's all right. We're going to make this nice and quick-ish. All right, cool. That did not make it better. All right. Midpoint, my favorite part of a movie. Midpoint, what event happens in the middle of the story that leads my hero into temptation between what he wants and what he needs? He could go back to the beginning or step into the unknown and risk losing everything. I would say that the midpoint is another death. So I'm going to say, did we give Tia's character a name? I don't think I gave Tia's character a name. What could Tia's name be? Bailey, like the wrestler. So Bailey's killed, and Vis-a-Vis does not show up on set, leading to Josh wanting to once again bail on the whole enterprise. And this is essentially, as Alan writes it in the book, as a result of our hero's false hope, an event happens that causes our hero to respond through temptation. The temptation, of course, would be to accept failure and just say, fuck it. He is pulled in two different directions between what he wants and what he needs. He wants to quit. He needs to keep going. He's come a long way and has made great strides, but he is now faced with a crisis of conscience. He can take a shortcut or he can risk everything for his dream. And once again, the shortcut is to just say fuck it and accept that this isn't meant to be, or risk everything for the dream and keep going. Oh, excuse me. Oh. This isn't exactly how I like to do a midpoint, or how I like to even define it, but okay, let's go with this. Josh accepts the conditions and continues with the movie. All right, suffering. What does it look like when my protagonist realizes that his goal is more difficult than he imagined and that this is the last chance to achieve it? This is too early to bring in the killer as a known quantity. I'm very thirsty today. What does it look like? Okay, so suffering. My God, he had no idea it was going to be this difficult. If he had known, he might never have begun the journey in the first place. The suffering is a direct result of the hero's dawning suspicion that what he wants is impossible to achieve based upon the meaning he has attached to his goal. In other words, he senses that what he is facing is not a problem, but rather a dilemma which is impossible to solve. The suffering is the death rattle of our hero's old identity. He's going to give it one last try. So we need something for him to see. This is weird because this is not how I would do this. But it's how Alan Watt is doing it, so that's how we're doing it. What does it look like when my protagonist realizes that his goal is more difficult than he imagined and that this is the last chance to achieve it? See, because if I skip ahead to reality, what does it look like when my hero accepts the reality of a situation? How is his reality of the situation different than the appearance of the situation? I don't know when to reveal the killer is the problem. Or not even reveal the killer as like who the killer is, but reveal to Josh that murders are happening. Because the problem is, as soon as we actually include murders into the plot with Josh, that kind of ends the filmmaking process. See, I feel like that's something that we... Oh, shit. We take care of that right here. Because we've figured out how to move on without Greg. And within the context of the footage that we have, the problem here is I'm going to have to come up with a good way of cutting out that character. Ah, shit. Written myself into a bit of a corner here. Although it's one that we can get out of. I just have to put some thought into it. So, day one goes great. Greg is cut out of the film, and we're moving several steps forward. It's fine. But then Bailey is killed and doesn't show up on set, leading to Josh wanting to once again bail because, of course, this is just one thing too many. I think he should receive positive affirmations from. We haven't named the main actor either. I'm just going to put Mickey for now. That's the actor's name. Josh accepts the conditions and continues with the movie. Okay. So then suffering, what does it look like when my protagonist realizes that his goal is more difficult than he imagined and that this is the last chance to achieve it? I mean, at this point, it's... Well, no, because he still has to fucking figure out. So Josh figures out how to move the story forward without Bailey. Actually, no, that Josh can't figure out how to move the story forward without Bailey. And we could even move the ticking clock a little bit. We could say that, let's see, he has a week to finish the movie. So let's say he has 2 days left or a day left. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the midpoint, is that he has a day left. With just 1 day left. There we go. So Josh can't figure out how to move the story forward without Bailey. Oh, man, this is tough. So Josh can't figure out how to move the story forward. This is the last chance he has to achieve it. Let's just say that he can't. He's struggle bussing. Can't figure out. Okay. So if we move on to surrender, and to go to Alan Watts' explanation, we surrender when we have run out of choices. The end of Act 2 is where our protagonist recognizes the impossibility of ever achieving his goal, and he lets it go. The end of Act 2 is like a coin with two sides. On one side is the dark night of the soul, and on the other side is a wider perspective, where the protagonist reframes his relationship to his goal. I kind of want to go through this and do an 8-sequence approach. Not today because we don't have time, but I kind of want to take this from the 8-sequence perspective. I might read ahead and see if Alan Watt goes into that at all. We are just starting the structure portion of the book, so maybe I'm just trying to get ahead of him. But this is a weird way for me to do this. So I'm a little befuddled. Anyway, did I finish even? I'm going to, just in case for the edit, I'm going to reread that last part. The end of Act 2 is like a coin with two sides. On one side is the dark night of the soul, and on the other side is a wider perspective where the protagonist reframes his relationship to his goal. So I feel like this is the point. This is our darkest moment. So this is the moment where he gives up. So Josh gives up. Let's see. I feel like this is really, like, it's so irritating to do this without the 8 sequences. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. He's about to call the producer when he hears a scream. Okay, this maybe gets us into our slasher action. Let's just write that as is. About to call Marilyn and tell her that she wins. Let's just put it that way, and then we can figure out exactly what that means later. Only to hear a scream from nearby. Ooh, and it's Mickey who's screaming, who is the star and Josh's lover. So that gives us a little extra meat, a little drama. I think that's the problem I'm having, and it's good that I'm doing it the way that Alan Watt has it written, because this is taking me way outside of my comfort zone. In my head, it's just like, well, yeah, that's the dramatic thing that has to happen. And I don't typically care that much about characterization, because I kind of just force the characters to make sense within the context of structurally what I want to happen. And this is forcing me to look past that a bit, which is really irritating, and I don't like it, but I'm going to keep going. All right, so what does it look like when my hero accepts the reality of a situation? How is his reality of the situation different than the appearance of the situation? What does it look like when my hero accepts the reality of his situation? How is the reality different from the appearance of the situation? So he accepts the reality. Well, actually, oh wait, I forgot to. I need to remember to read these for the sake of the edit. All right. Act 3, accepting reality. This scene immediately follows the surrender. By reframing his relationship to his goal, he begins to accept the reality of a situation. There's a saying, the truth will set you free, but first it will kick your ass. That is where our hero is. He is getting his ass kicked, but it is leading him to a new understanding of the true nature of his situation. All right. In Argo, when Tony Mendez realizes that the CIA care more about their image than they do about the hostages, he understands the true nature of his situation. If the hostages are to be rescued, he will have to put his own life on the line. Oh, actually, that gives me a great idea. Thank you, Alan Watt. Josh must put his life on the line and save his lead actor lover from the killer. Okay. Maybe this is, I don't remember. I think it might have been Josh. Maybe it was Mike. Maybe it was Mad Mike. I don't remember. Someone suggested a location in the middle of nowhere, and this might be where we have that. Maybe the last day of shooting is out in the middle of nowhere. That might be a good idea. And yeah, he realizes that people aren't abandoning the film. They're dying. Which also, I just realized, has a great correlation to the real life inspiration here. Anya, is now the right time to come in here and shake your collar around? But it's that sense that you get when people don't show up or they bail on a movie. It feels like it's a very personal thing that they're attacking you as the filmmaker. But the reality is they just have their own shit going on. And in this case, their own shit is they're being brutally murdered. Anya, holy shit. Why? She just busted up in here just to be a thing. Just to be a butt. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on, up. Okay, fuck you. Fucking dog. Okay. What action does my protagonist take toward getting what he needs? Okay, well, he needs to stop losing actors, and that means he needs to save... Exactly right. Exactly right, Derek. Thank you. That's perfect. When he thought they were walking out, it validated his fear of being a failure. This Alan guy knows what he's talking about, even though it still bugs the shit out of me that we're doing it this way. Action. What action does my protagonist take toward getting what he needs? Well, this is going to be so much better when it's edited down and I'm not just flailing madly. I mean, oh, we're going to steal from Fall Guy. He rallies his crew and uses their help to go after the killer, I guess. All right, and then let's go to battle scene. I just realized, I skipped action. So I'll just read this real quick. This is the meat of Act 3. As a result of accepting the reality of a situation, our protagonist takes action toward giving himself what he needs. Rocky may still want to win the fight, but what he needs is to go the distance. The action he takes is to fight Apollo Creed. Okay, and that works. Our action is to fight the killer. Battle scene. This is the climax of our story, where our protagonist makes a choice between what he wants and what he needs. This is an extremely difficult choice. Through his choice, he proves to the gods that he has earned his transformation and has thus resolved his dilemma. In Goodfellas, Henry Hill must make a choice between snitching on his friends or going to prison for a long time. Well, he needs to accept. This is another fucking challenging one. What happens when my protagonist must choose between what he wants and what he needs? What choice does my protagonist make? Well, I suppose he needs to let go. Well, he reaches the fuck it. Wait. He reaches the fuck it stage and says, forget the film, we need to get everyone out of the house alive. Oh my God, he becomes a real leader. He becomes like a real, because that's what a director is a leader, and he becomes a real leader, and he says, that's very good. I was going to say he needs to let go of the film, but yeah, that's right. Let's see here. So Josh decides to abandon the film, maybe literally by somehow having to lose the SD card or something. Maybe he has to use, I don't know, some bullshit reason that requires him to lose even more footage or something, or lose the day, something like that, in order to save his cast and crew. And that would be like when Gollum is, or Smeagol, whatever, is thrown into Mount Doom with the ring, and you lose the ring. Ooh, that's really good. I like that. I like that, making weapons out of the gear, that cannibalizing the stuff that he spent all the money on. That's really good. Let's see here. I must have to write that down print. I'll do it in brackets. That's really good. By the way, I'm going to be giving everybody who's helping me right now some credits in the finished product. Oh, you know what? And I would be A-okay trashing one of my sliders. I never use those fucking things. That'd be great to beat the killer to death with a slider. And yeah, you're right about C-stands. And the great thing about C-stands is we can do whatever we want with them and probably not break them. That's even better. All right. So, all right, he defeats the killer, and okay, so Josh accepts his fate. He's going to be sued into oblivion. And that's okay because his cast and crew, because his remaining cast and crew are safe. I feel like it should be just luck of the draw, and that Marilyn, is it reneges? How do you spell that? Reneges on her initial deal after footage of the incident goes viral, and she gives Josh another 10 grand and another chance to finish the film, because per Marilyn, at the end of the day, this is about money. I like an ending where it's just sort of a like, well, you know, yeah, fuck it. That's not a bad place to end it, especially because the main action we want to get across is we want to see someone stand up for themselves and their friends. We want to see a murderer on the loose. We want to see the murderer get what's coming to him. And that's pretty much it. And then we can still give Josh what he wants, which is to finish the film, but he maybe has to, I don't know, maybe there's some other stipulations for a new film, but him doing everything it takes to save the film should be rewarded with another chance to finish. And also, if we're doing this like logically, this is a great story for a producer. Like, this is such a great, like, yeah, this is the movie that people died over. And we put it out anyway. And so maybe it ends with, you know what? Josh trashes the film and starts anew. So at the end of the day, he does have to quit to a degree. He has to accept that the film is pretty much ruined. There's really no way of getting back from that. But with another 10 grand, he can try again, and he can use what he's learned to make the film properly with living people. It kind of sucks that he trashes the footage of people who died, but at the same time, yeah, it creates hype. I feel like that's a pretty good. That's actually a. I'm liking this the more I'm thinking about it. This is not a bad ending, and this will all change. I think the important thing to remember is everything that we're talking about here, all of this, is susceptible to change. This is a good starting point, a good first run at the structure. I'm going to read ahead a little bit and see what all is going on in these next few chapters. I would like, just for my own brain, I would like to go through this via the 8 sequences approach, and I just don't know if there's something similar to that. There is also homework for the week, which I'll probably do this off stream. Spend a half hour a day working on the stream of consciousness writing exercises. Spend at least a half hour of the day imagining the world of your story. Again, this simply means asking questions of your story. Each answer begets more questions. Make choices. Hold them loosely. That's something we could probably do on stream. And then 3, spend at least a half hour a day inquiring into the structure questions in part 3. Don't just write on a question once, work with them daily. The goal is not to plot out our story in a single sitting. This is an ongoing, the goal is not to plot our story in a single sitting. This is an ongoing process of developing an experiential relationship to our protagonist at key stages in the hero's journey. So I would say that for a first go, this is pretty good. And there's some weak points, but they're points that we can flesh out a little bit later. Day 9 is subtext. How big? Let's say, yeah, we get back to. Oh yeah, and there's all kinds of stuff for us to sink our teeths into. Sink our teeths into? What the fuck am I saying? But this will be great for tomorrow and the day after and the day after. I feel like we'll be able to do another speed run through some of these days. Let's see here. Maybe even through the rest of the week. Let's go to the table of contents. Yeah, so we just did structure. So next up is subtext, surrender, balancing your brain and the ticking clock, transformation, make it cinematic, and we are uniquely qualified to tell our story. I feel like we can maybe do this in 2 days, maybe tomorrow we do 9, 10, and 11, and then Monday we do 12, 13, and 14, and dig right on through. Then we'll get into week 3, the outline, and then week 4, beat by beat. Ooh, beats. I like beats. That makes me think of the sequences. That might be it. And then we get to writing the first draft, finally, in week 5. So we are trucking. We're trucking. I'm going to end it here because I have to get ready for work. And it's already been a long-ass day. But that was a very good use of 40-odd minutes. And thank you, Derek, specifically. Derek, you fucking rock, brother. You rock. Those are some excellent suggestions. So, brava. And you know what? And we all had fun. That's the important thing. We all had fun. All right, I'm going to go. Thanks for watching. Go make a movie, okay?
It's gonna take me some time to give you all that is mine.